Hello, in this video we're going to discuss advice to law enforcement agencies. Spotting a handler. So people that are affected by handlers are politicians, particularly leaders of parties, prime ministers and presidents. And the other group is Christians. A handler's duties involve the following. Deny freedom, deny happiness, apply sickness, including motion sickness, and how this is often delivered is in a clear glass of water or a vial. Other times they apply it by placing it in the person's food and they wind up sick for 24 hours or more. With motion sickness, it is done while they're in an aircraft or vehicle or other form of transport. They just sit next to them and they tell them vomit, and then because of hypnosis the victim will vomit. Oh, you feel like vomiting right now? That's what they say. They'll do it in such a way so that the person becomes sick. Or they'll say, are you feeling alright? The aircraft is moving. And then that could be a trigger point for them to vomit. The handlers most of the time wear black as well. They also apply hypnosis. This is done through drown rape. So when they do that initially, they use a group of people to restrain the victim. Once they've applied the first level of hypnosis, where the victim becomes malleable and does as the hypnosis tells them, then they don't need additional people to restrain them anymore. They simply tell them to sit down because they're trying to help them, and then they anchor their feet and their hands, and then the victim is ready to be drown raped and hypnotized. So hypnosis, they apply inhibitors, including ruining people's sense of taste and smell, behavioral quirks for indicators for love, happiness or joy. With a happiness, it's a crack in when they're talking. They'll say something and their voice will crack. For love, it might be a particular type of way in which they do something, or it might be a facial expression. They might be smiling continuously. Trigger events. So they hypnotize trigger events, including trauma. So and the handlers love doing this. Trauma of being drowned and trauma of drown rape. So the victim is restrained, and then they pull out the device that they rape them with, or the device that they place over their head, and the person, the victim, goes into trauma and becomes extremely upset but is unable to do anything. And of course the handler's standing there videoing it all. Often this could be done in the kitchen. Criminal activity, spying, delivery of sickness. So in the case of a politician, they can deliver sickness to other politicians and dignitaries. This can be done by deliberately pouring something into their drink or sprinkling something onto their food while they're pointing at something. It's rehearsed, all of it, and drown rape and hypnosis is done throughout it. It could take weeks for them to be trained in order to deliver it to a particular president, politician, or person that's important. Rape, torture and murder. So they have trauma events. They can make people hate the person that victimized them. Then what they can do is blame it on someone else, and then suddenly, using hypnosis, they can make the victim murder someone horrifically. Theft. So they can get them to steal stuff and not. So they commit all these crimes and not know that they're doing it. They're completely unaware of it, oblivious to what they're doing. Everything is videoed by the handler, everything. They always carry a camera. If the victim is not around and the handler loses eye contact with them, they become extremely upset. They are very, very clingy people. They actually start to cry if the person's not in the room. A handler reports directly to Satan Actual via a cell phone or a laptop. The controller enforces Satan's commands brutally. They go through a bizarre ritual every morning, the handlers, where they get drown raped daily. Now, a person who's a handler who's in a higher position, such as one that is with a politician or a person who's important, might be able to avoid this because of their position. It might be a privilege not to have to experience that. They also, once a month, get gang raped. Often the females who are handlers, they will shave their legs and their genitals in the hope that the people that are raping them might be nicer to them when it happens. All handlers work for the UK military intelligence, and their influence also influences the New Zealand spy agency, the New Zealand SIS. So the UK MIs actually have control over them because of hypnosis and the deployment of handlers. Handlers always want to be controllers. That is what they strive to achieve. So that's their ambition, to get out of the position where they're in. The controllers do not get affected adversely, as I mentioned before about the handlers and their rituals daily and monthly. So something that raises my suspicions is Clark Gayford, and where he is whenever he's around Jacinda Ardern, it's never together. It's often with him walking behind her, and that's raised my suspicions a little bit. So a way to, they're often like a shadow, and that is the behavior of a handler. The other thing about them is if they have a family, it's always fake. So it often pays, if they have children, to conduct a DNA test just to check. Often handlers who are male, well actually always, are always eunuchs. They have their penis and balls removed. It is a hideous process. Female handlers have their breasts removed and are circumcised. And what this means is the females often dress as guys. So that's another thing that'll come up. And it helps with their disguises. So the handlers control politics and work in Satan's favour to enforce apartheid elusively. So that's some information for law enforcement agencies spotting a handler and doing something about it, hopefully. I'm the Archangel Daniel, and I'm from heaven.